Hello all of you pretty petunias. Today I'm going to be doing the Pokemon Go book tag. I found this online at Happy Indulgence and it combines two of my favourite things in the world, which is Pokemon and books. So I thought, why not give it a go? To get started, we have the starters, and the question is the book that started your love for reading. Now for me, I started reading when I was little. My mum was really heavy on pushing me to read, but then I lost interest as I got old. But then my cousin introduced me to City of Bones by Cassandra Clare. This book and the Mortal Instruments series are probably my top favourite series just because of what they mean to me. They really got me back into reading and just kind of opened up my world again to young adult fiction and fantasy novels and all of the other things that we all love about today's modern kind of fantasy books. Pikachu, an iconic classic that you will always love. The Hobbit by J.R.R. Tolkien. It is a classic book that I will always love. The only other real classic books I'd say that I've read would be 1984 by George Orwell and Hamlet and Macbeth by Shakespeare in high school. Good old Zubat. A book you lost interest in because it is literally everywhere. That book was Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. After I'd finished reading the Mortal Instruments series and I'd heard that she was bringing out a spin-off series that was about all of the main characters, ancestors kind of thing, and it was set back in like 1800s London, I was like, okay, that sounds cool. And then everyone was really hyped about it, and my cousin who introduced me to the Mortal Instruments said that she loved this series more than the Mortal Instruments. And so when I picked it up, I was really excited because everyone had hyped it up for me and I'd heard so many good things about it, but when I picked it up, I just couldn't get into it at all. But then, just like in Pokemon, when Zubat evolved finally into Crobat, I had to give it a second chance, and I found out that Crobat was actually quite an amazing Pokemon, and that was pretty much the same thing to what happened with Clockwork Angel. I picked it up, I gave it a second chance a few years later, and I just blitzed through the series because it was so amazing, and Clockwork Princess just gave me all of the feels, and I'm so glad that I gave this series a second chance. For Ditto, the question is, a book that reminds you of other books but you still love anyway. For me, that book would have to be Ruby Red by Kirsten Greer. I loved this book, I flew through it, but I could see similarities between this book and City of Bones and the Mortal Instruments series in that there is the girl who was kind of thrown into this world without knowing nothing at all about how to deal with it and what kind of things and consequences came with whatever actions that you took. So I found both of these books kind of similar in that respect, but completely different on storylines and character development and everything else that made me love this book so much. Snorlax! A book or a series that you have not read or started because of its sheer size. That series has to be, for me, the A Song of Ice and Fire series by George R.R. Martin. I love the TV show. I adore the TV show. I get so excited for the TV show. And I really, really, really want to read the books, but there's so many and they're so big and they're not finished yet, which is kind of upsetting. So I'm just kind of waiting until the TV series is over, and that way I can just read them all through, marathon them out, and just kind of think of them as two different mediums. Gengar! A book that kept you up at night. This Empire of Storms by Sarah J. Maas. Every time I'd go to bed, I'd just read a chapter and then I'd flick through and be like, oh, there's only like 5 pages in the next chapter, I'll just read that. And then that chapter turned into 2 chapters. And then those chapters turned into 5 chapters. And the cycle continued, and I don't actually think I slept that night reading this book. Good times. Good times. Nidoking, Nidoqueen, your ultimate book OTP. Bringing it on back. Aelin and Rowan. Rowan is life for me. I'm on the big canon ship that Sarah J. Maas has provided for people like me, and I'm all Rowan, Aelin, Rowan, Aelin, Rowan, Aelin, Rowan. Oh, yes. Rowan is life. Honorable mentions to Clary and Jace from the Mortal Instruments, Magnus and Alec from the Mortal Instruments, Simon and Izzy from the Mortal Instruments, Rose and Dimitri from Vampire Academy. Rapidashed, a fiery hot-paced read. For me, that is Captive Prince by C.S. Pacat. I flew through this book. I think I read it in about 4 hours. I don't think I've ever read a book as fast as I've ever read this book. The Eevee book, a series that you'll never get tired of seeing spin-offs for. That honour has to go to my favourite series of all time, The Mortal Instruments by Cassandra Clare. I've read the Bane Chronicles. I've read Simon's novellas while he's at the Shadowhunter Academy. I've read Lady Midnight. I've read The Infernal Devices, and I could just keep raking in. I would just keep buying all of the Mortal Instruments spin-off stuff. Magikarp, a book that surprised you. That for me is Sky Burial by Shinran. I think that's how you pronounce her name. I'm not too sure. I picked this book up at an op shop and I was just kind of, that looks different. I might give it a go. And it was a really easy read. It's about this lady who gets married to the love of her life, basically, and they were only married for 13 weeks or something, or 3 weeks or something, before he gets sent over to Tibet because he's a medical doctor. She receives news that he's died in service over in Tibet, but she doesn't believe what they're saying, so she herself goes over to Tibet to try and find him. It's about all of the challenges and the hardships that she faced while she was over there, and it was a really beautiful, beautiful story, and I highly recommend it to anyone who is able to find this gem of a book. Legendaries! An overhyped series you're still excited to read. Please don't kill me, but I haven't actually read the Harry Potter series. I really, really want to, and I tried as a child, but I couldn't get into them as a kid. I really need to buy them and try and read them again because they're still hype. Like 20 years later, they are still the talk of the town in books. I'm still so excited to try and read them again. I just haven't gotten around to it or haven't had the money to buy the whole series. Sorry. The Pokey Egg, a debut novel that you are excited for. That honour has to go to Stalking Jack the Ripper by Kerri Maniscalco. I first heard about this book from Sasha Olsberg from A Book Utopia, and she got me really excited to read this. It sounds so different and so twisted, and I'm excited to read it. Lore Module, an auto-buy author. For me, I've got two personally at this point in time, and for me they are Sarah J. Maas and Cassandra Clare. Last but not least, Servers Down, a book release you have been waiting on for forever. Technically it hasn't been forever, but it feels like it's been forever, and that would be the unnamed sequel and the last book in the series of Sarah J. Maas's A Throne of Glass series. It feels like it's been forever since I finished Empire of Storms, and I just hope that they're all going to be okay, which, let's be honest, they probably won't because Sarah J. Maas is evil. That is it, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this Pokemon Go book tag. If you want to do this tag yourself, head on over to Happy Indulgence and, well, indulge yourself. I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye!